Welcome to the Business Success Podcast. I'm your host, Charisse Marie, here to accompany you on this exhilarating journey of discovery towards transformative business success. Together, let's cultivate growth one episode at a time.
Hi, this is Jennifer Conaway, and today I'm going to talk to you about 3 ways to know if you're failing your team. And, it can be a sensitive subject. So I decided the best way to talk to you about it is the way I address it when I'm working with the individual leaders that I talk to. Because this whole topic was really born from working with folks that have teams, whether that's a team of 2 people and they're both contractors, or a team of 10 people or 15 people, and it's split between some full-time employees, some part-time, and some contractors. A bit about me: I started this life, I guess, in the Fortune 100 environment. And I was the square peg that they were trying to cram into a round hole. And even with all that, I managed to find ways to have success. And still, there came a point when I just couldn't do it anymore. So I left and jumped into the wild world of life coaching. This was the early 2000s, so at that time, it was a little bit wild. But I learned so much about myself, about the people that I wanted to work with, and about online marketing. It really gave me the tools and the skills I needed to take that next big step, where I worked with one of the most well-known online personal development marketers in the country and arguably globally. I spent 7 years running her multi-million-dollar mastermind program that really functioned as a business within her bigger business. And this is where this concept of how working with your team can be really successful or really not started to blossom within me. And I say that because at that time, I was probably where you have been. I was, on the one hand, a team member for the larger business. And on the other hand, I was actually managing large groups of contractors. I was managing large groups of team for live events. And honestly, sometimes I did it really well, sometimes not well at all. And it took a lot of work for me to figure out how to actually get to the point where I could effectively manage a team. And I left that group after about 8 years, and the most amazing thing happened. As I was leaving, one of my team members said to me, "You have been such an amazing leader, and I've watched you grow and worked with you for so long. I would work with you anywhere."
Today, I've got something truly extraordinary to share. Something that could help you unlock your mind's full potential and transform your life in ways you never thought possible. Let me introduce you to brainworkaudio.com, the ultimate tool to help you listen, transform, and thrive. Whether you're aiming to enhance your focus, improve your sleep, or cultivate a sense of calm, Brainwork Audio is your partner on that journey. Their mission is simple but powerful: to empower individuals like you to achieve personal growth and well-being through the transformative power of sound. Here's what makes them stand out. Every audio track at Brainwork Audio is crafted by experts in sound engineering. They blend binaural beats, scientifically designed sound frequencies that sync with your brain waves, with powerful affirmations that reinforce positivity and success, helping you reshape your mindset from within. Drifting off to sleep with their While You Sleep music, designed to lull you into a deep, restorative rest. Or powering through your day with their Focus music that sharpens your concentration and keeps distractions at bay. And when it's time to recharge, their meditation music creates the perfect environment for mindfulness and inner peace. But Brainwork Audio doesn't stop there. They also offer specially designed affirmation tracks, audio experiences that work in the background while you relax or work, subtly reinforcing positivity and confidence. It's personal development, effortlessly woven into your daily life. I've got a special deal just for you. Use promo code SUPERFAN at checkout to save 20% on your first purchase. That's right, 20% off your first step toward a more confident, focused, and peaceful life. So why wait? Head over to brainworkaudio.com today and discover the transformative power of sound. From sleep to focus to mindfulness, they've got the perfect track for every part of your day. Your journey to turn into a better you starts here. Visit brainworkaudio.com and use the code SUPERFAN because you deserve to thrive. Brainwork Audio, listen, transform, thrive.
And to me, that was the most amazing thing somebody could have said, because it meant that I had done what I needed to do to foster a good team and to foster the individuals within that team. So after that, I branched out into my own business again, and that's what I do right now. I'm an intuitive business strategist and leadership coach. And honestly, this is my love. Working with leaders is my love. And I still have a team. I have a small team of contractors that I use every day. And I work with leaders of primarily heart-led, purpose-driven spiritual businesses. So I work with folks probably very much like you. And, they didn't go to college to learn how to manage a team. They didn't go to school to learn how to be the leader of not just their business, but also their team. So managing a team can feel very foreign and very, put us really out of sorts. So recognize that you're not just automatically good at this team thing. It's a journey, and you can learn to do it. All of the teams I come across, and I'm privileged to sit in meetings with the team and with the leader, have a few things in common. One of those things is that they are amazing at what they do as individuals and as a group, and they truly want to serve their clients, and all of them believe that the leader they're working with has an amazing message to get out into the world. So I'm going to really be brutally honest today. That's why I say I'm going to talk to you the way I talk to my leaders. And when I speak with my leaders, I am 100% honest. I don't sugarcoat things. We don't have that kind of time, right? We have things we need to get done. So here are a couple of assumptions I'm going to make today. You are supposed to change and learn to do better. That is part of life. Another assumption is that you are an active participant in your self-improvement. It just doesn't happen. You have to take action. And finally, we are all here together to learn, to improve our business and our relationships with the people around us. So those are my assumptions as we go in. And my agreement with you is that you and I, we both want to be better leaders and managers, and we are all in this sack of learning and growing together. So we do this together. Know that I say everything I say with love. Know that I have been there. And if I haven't been there as a leader, I have been on the other side of these 3 ways to know that you're failing your team. So I've seen it from both perspectives. I understand from both perspectives what is happening within the team at the time and what the leader is probably going through too. So my intention is to help you determine if you are serving your team in the very best way. Because the better you serve your team, the better your team serves you, your clients, and your overall mission. So here we go. The 3 ways to know if you're failing your team. And we're going to start with the big one, and that is hiring. Hiring always, let's just say, interesting. It's interesting. Sometimes it's really easy. Most of the time, it's really not simple. And it takes a lot of work and a lot of time. But here's what I want you to think about. Every time you hire someone for a role, whether it's a contractor or an expert or a full-time person, do you end up giving that person tasks that aren't necessarily in that job description, that they weren't really hired for? Every time you hire a specialist, do you end up saying, well, they really couldn't do what I hired them for? Or they just don't understand me. They don't understand my clients, and they really just can't capture my voice. For your team, when they hear you say those things, it immediately deflates them, because the whole premise of you hiring an expert or another contractor or another employee is that they're going to get some help, right? We're going to be able to offload some things onto this person. We're going to grow, we're going to shift, and it all sounds amazing. But when you just onboarded an expert and then you're talking about how they just don't get you, that is really deflating for your team, because they spent a lot of time onboarding this person, getting to know this person, and now they've barely started their work, and you're unhappy. Sorry about that. Oh, you're unhappy with what they're doing. And basically what that means is you stop doing everything they ask you to do. You end up letting that person go. And now your team is back to doing all of those tasks. Your team is figuring out now what that person did do, what they didn't do, where they put documents, where they move things around. Basically, it puts your team into a really chaotic situation. And, it takes a long time to work through all of those pieces. It's really time consuming for them. And of course, you as the leader aren't happy about the situation either. But there are even more things that happen when you're doing this. And every example I share with you is something that I have seen a leader do, watched a leader do, and experienced with a leader that I was working with. So does this sound familiar to you? Because if it is, you might be failing your team. You hired a web designer. Great idea. You hired a web designer to come in and take care of 4 or 5 pages on your site for you. They only ever finished 3, and you weren't happy and you ended up letting them go. Or you hired a copywriter to come in and create a bunch of new copy for you, and they never finished their work. But you never completed the copywriters or the web designers' intake forms, but they didn't really need that to do the work, right? They just magically understood everything about you. Right. Or maybe you hired a strategist. They created an amazing strategy. You implemented 3/4 of it, sat back and decided, that strategy, it just didn't work at all. Or maybe you gave an expert permission to try something completely new and different. They dove right in, you started implementing, and then all of a sudden you decided, well, it's not working. We're just going to stop. We're not going to let it play out. We're going to pull all of that brand new, fantastic strategy, replace it with the old stuff, which, remember, didn't work. And then things will be right in the world. Well, the problem isn't the people that you're hiring. It's not that they're not doing their best. It's that you're hiring without a willingness to change or reflect. And at the end of the day, what that means is no expert you hire, no marketing consultant, strategic consultant is going to be successful, because the common denominator in all of their work is you. And unless you're willing to expand, their work isn't going to help you out. Okay, so that can be hard to hear. So take a second and just breathe. Remember, we're all here to go through this together. And I know this is hard, but here's one more example I want to share with you. I was working with an amazing client, a multiple six-figure business. She took vacation. She was gone for 14 days. In those 14 days, her team accomplished more than I can honestly say they had accomplished in the previous 30 days. When the leader came back, she was thrilled. So proud of the team, so proud of herself for not interfering while she was on vacation. But here's the thing. She never took that next step. She didn't dig into why they were so successful while she wasn't in the picture. She didn't take the time to reflect. So her interaction with the team went right back to the way it was before she went on vacation, and we're right back to where we started. So when you hire an expert, when you hire somebody new, it's very important to remember that you, as the business owner, need to take on the time to change and reflect. And when you don't, you're costing yourself untold hours to hire and basically to push paperwork. So that's the first way to know if you're failing your team. And remember our agreement. We all want to be better. We're all in this together. Here's the second way to know if you're failing your team. You are a one-woman human traffic jam. Do you have a to-do list? I have a to-do list. Do you know how long that list is? Are there things that have been on there for a day, for 4 or 5 days, maybe a week, maybe 2 weeks? Do you have things that have been on that list for a month? Do you realize that you're actually driving your team to chaos? Breathe. You're failing your team. That chaos, constantly rushing to complete tasks because you were late, leads to mistakes. And we all know mistakes are costly. They cost time, they cost effort, rework costs time, and of course, rushing to make the mistakes right again takes time. And your team might not say this, but all of that redoing work and rushing and reminding you to do tasks is a true morale killer. It really will eat at a team. And if they're constantly reminding you to do tasks, you're failing your team. So that list, does it have things on it that have actually disappeared? So projects that you started 3 and 4 and 5 months ago that nobody even mentions anymore because they know you won't get the task finished. You're having trouble even completing the tasks that they need for today. You're a traffic jam. You're keeping the work from getting done. You know, I'm privileged to work with some of the biggest names in the business. And there have been times when I've looked at their to-do list, put together a list that was frankly overwhelming to me. So I can only imagine as the leader and as a team member, if you're looking at that to-do list, that's incredibly demoralizing. So Being a one-woman human traffic jam isn't helpful, right? And if you can identify this with this, even just a little bit, you're not just failing your team, you're actually failing yourself, because all of that time that your team is sitting and waiting to move things along, they could be digging in to the next big opportunity for you. They could be scheduling that new speaking engagement that gets you in front of your ideal client. They're frustrated and they don't want to say anything about it, right? They're paying for your traffic jam with time away from their family and time away from their other work. And let's be fair. Sometimes as leaders, we say things and then think about them later. And one of the things I had a team leader say was, "Oh, I know, I'm so very sorry." And she meant it from the bottom of her heart, that I'm not getting these tasks done, but please don't be frustrated with me. What you're asking your team to do is to allow your bad behavior, right? You are out of integrity with the agreement you have with them to do what they're asking you to do. So you're out of integrity with yourself, you're out of integrity with who you want to be, and you're out of your integrity with your team. So let's find a way to work through those tasks. And there are ways that we can do it, and I'll talk about that at the end. So that's the second way, being a one-woman human traffic jam. But let's take a breath for a second. And remember, the intent of this is to help you be a better leader for your team. So let's talk about the third way that you may be a human, that you may be failing your team. Are you an infallible, magical fairy? Yeah, I was at one time. And I'm going to share with you the most obvious example I have ever seen of this. And unfortunately, I've seen it happen multiple times with the same leader and with a few other leaders. Let's say you're at a live event. You, the leader, you're on stage, you're getting ready to go into break, and you pick up your cards that are supposed to have on them all the notes for the things you need to tell your participants, and you're taking a look and something isn't right. And you say, "Well, that's not right. Jamie, this isn't right. Forget it. I'll just fix it." Well, not only did she just blame her team member for a mistake, she did it on a hot mic, she did it loudly, and she did it in front of the entire room. Breathe. If you even think you've done this in front of an audience, in front of contractors, in front of team, in front of clients or potential clients, you're failing your team. First, think about how the team member feels. They're embarrassed, they feel small, chastised, paralyzed. They want to crawl under the table. And the larger team, they're afraid that you're going to call them out next in public. And frankly, you're responsible for everything that happens in your company. And when you're calling out team members, particularly in public, particularly in front of clients, in front of customers, you're failing your team. You're not accepting responsibility for anything that your company is doing. Now, don't get me wrong. If there's a mistake, 100%, you need to address that. And there are ways to do that. They are not in front of an entire room of people. You're failing your team. Another way to think about this is, if you've ever written an email to your list, to a client, to anybody that started with or had anywhere in it, well, my team forgot, or my team made a mistake, or my team didn't tell me. Again, you're failing your team. You're taking the group that should be the most supportive of you and removing their agency with your clients. You're basically telling your clients, your newsletter list, that your team is not good enough. You're the only person that's good enough. And as you're growing a business, you need your team to be pulling with you, right? You need to know that your clients can go to them, and you're taking that away from your team and your clients. Another way to think about this is a postmortem after a project, after an event. And if your big concern is laying out how a team member didn't do their job right or didn't do their job well, you're failing your team. This is an attitude that reflects more poorly on you than it does on your team. You're not taking responsibility for your team's outcomes or for keeping your team members' skills up. You're failing your team. So breathe. Okay. How do you pay for that? How do you pay for this global failure? Well, prospective clients may decide they don't want to work with you, or clients won't work with your team because you've denigrated the team so much. Your team probably is not easily offering suggestions, or they may be taking a long time to make decisions because, frankly, they're afraid that if they make a decision or offer a suggestion that runs counter to what you want, you'll call them out, and not in a friendly, I'm so glad you had that idea kind of way. And I know I'm being a little bit sarcastic, but this is such a huge issue within teams, and it causes so much chaos that it will limit the growth of your business. It will stifle innovation and even small process improvements that can save you time and effort. Your team will stop taking responsibility and accountability for some of those things that crop up and happen in the weeds. And rather than dealing with them, they leave them for you, which means that you're now spending more time in the business and less time out of the business, where you can be creative and work with clients. Time equals money. And all of the things we talked about take time away from your primary goal. The cost of refusing to grow as you bring in experts, of being a one-woman traffic jam, or that infallible, magical fairy, is a team that you're not holding up your bargain with, right? You want them to want to work with you. And the cost of this is high. The team will drag their feet. They may not feel appreciated or understood, and they make mistakes. Remember, every mistake they make is costing you money. And every time you hire an expert that doesn't work out, that then creates a rush job and breaks agreements, it's costing you time. It's costing you money. And if you say that trust is one of your values, or if you believe at all that trust should be a value between you and your team, every time you miss a deadline, every time you call somebody out in a public way, you're breaking that trust with your team. And at worst, you may lose a team member. And none of us really have time to replace team members that are doing a really good job, right? And at best, your team limps along, battered and bruised, still committed to the dream. and performing far less well than they could be. So a question I always get from my leaders is, well, Jennifer, if I am such a shitty boss, why does my core team stick around? Obviously, I'm not that bad. Well, okay. So I've actually asked a couple of team members because, quite frankly, that was my question too. If your team leader, if your business leader is really that bad, why are you still here? And I got some really great responses from team members. The first one is they just want to be near genius. And they believe that you're a genius. And they believe strongly in your mission, in your value, and in the good that not you do, but that you allow them to do because of your business. And then there are some not so good reasons. The team may be deeply codependent, and they may also, just like everybody else, not want to go through the hassle of finding a new job. And they already know that every once in a while you don't get a task done on time, so fine, I can deal with that. Well, the team staying in place is not the marker of a good team leader. It's a sign that the team has normalized the bad behavior. So, what do you do? I've put together a resource pack for you called Be a Better Boss Starter Pack. And I've created the 10 commandments for being a good boss, which is just a really easy thing you can stick on your wall. And when you need a reminder, it's right there. I've also put together some names of folks that you can follow on social media that have done amazing things with team and team leadership. I've included podcasts, if you're a podcast listener, and names of books that address leadership and team leadership in particular, if you're one of those folks that loves to get on a Kindle or to read that book. It's time to up your leadership and your team lead game. I wish you all the best. Thank you.
I'm Charisse Marie, and it's been a pleasure navigating the landscape of business growth and holistic entrepreneurship with you today. At the Business Success Podcast, we're committed to supporting your entrepreneurial adventure every step of the way. Until next time, keep pushing boundaries and pursuing growth that aligns with both your business goals and your personal goals. And always remember, you hold the power to redefine success in a way that's meaningful to you. Let's continue this journey towards holistic entrepreneurship together.